Misses caught. Sister Abigail!
International monster Magnus Carlsen has given away both arms and the kitchen sink to get to this position. And you, dear viewer, are asked to find the checkmate. But what's shocking is, there is no checkmate. Not yet. Nobody, past or present, comes close to Magnus when it comes to these aspects of the game. Even my ex admits it, and she is a Sagittarius. No wait, she is a Cancer. Yes, but when it comes to tactical genius, you're thinking Tal, Kasparov, you're thinking Robert James Fischer. But what if I found an insane game? A game that puts Magnus Carlsen right next to the greats when it comes to tactical wizardry. What would such a game mean to the GOAT debate? Hi, I'm Mortal Chess. The increased dose has brought me back from a 3-week-long rabbit hole on lizard people. Yes, I'm back with a fresh outlook and a mildly increased urge to procreate with the same sex. That's how you know you're in for a treat. It's 2004, the Caro-Kann is still playable in elite-level chess, and Magnus Carlsen is in the third tier of the Corus group tournament. Yes, even the GOAT played in Group C once. So no matter what situation you're facing in life, you know what, never mind. The only problem I can help you with is your dreadful opening repertoire. The pinned comment is a link to the sponsor of this video, Lotus Chess. Because deep down you know, this game is the only good thing we have left on this godforsaken planet. And this was one of the most prestigious chess events of the year back then. The top tier featured the chess elite of the time. And yes, invite only, so as to keep out the likes of Hans Niemann, and maintain the sanctity of the royal game. But Sip Ernst, a 25-year-old, had the bad luck of having to face a young Magnus, moments before producing arguably his best game of all time. D4, and for all of you who keep commenting Alien Gambit, instead of finding girlfriends, watch closely, this is how you actually destroy the Caro-Kann. D5 is the standard Caro-Kann response, and after knight c3, takes and bishop f5, we've landed in the main line of the main line. Nowadays, some folks prefer knight f6, which can lead to a quick attack on white's kingside. But if you do that against me, you'll end up stuck in a sad 4 versus 3 endgame on the queenside. Patrons will testify that challenging me to a chess game is generally a bad idea. But this is about Magnus Carlsen, a player that is equally great, and this was back in his cobalt mining days. So you know he was a different breed. Knight g3, attacking the bishop, is a subtle tempo game white plays in the main line Caro-Kann. The idea is to use this bishop as a target to get some aggressive moves in. And when you're done, bishop d3 offers a trade. Takes, queen takes, and then e6 is on the board. It looks like white has 3 developed pieces, and black has 1 half developed piece. And while history has shown us exactly what happens when white is better developed than black, the main line is still perfectly respectable, the best way to equalize, and one day, someone at the elite level will play it. Now, in modern chess theory, the cool kids prefer bishop d2 in this position. This avoids the sneaky queen a5 causing trouble. For example, after bishop f4, a move that Carlsen played, queen a5 would have been met with bishop back to d2, bishop before, and then c3, and c4. It always looks like they know what they are doing at 2000 elo. But after queen c7, you've just created a hook to speed up black's queenside assault in the likely event of an opposite castled middle game. But this is 2004. Carlsen's 2400 rated opponent did not have access to the vast ocean of knowledge that I possess. He played knight to f6. And that, my friends, was the beginning of the end. Because after 10 years of suffering in this soul-crushing game, I've learned one brutal truth: the engine can scream perfectly equal, while you're sitting there suffocating in Afghanistan. Theoretical equality isn't enough. You need an opening line that's statistically proven to crush people at your specific rating level. And that, my friends, is where Lotus Chess comes in. It's an app built by 2 fellow sufferers who got so sick of losing, they did the most German thing imaginable. They built something that actually fixes a problem. You log in with your Lichess or chess.com username. The AI is way smarter than your average chess bot, and it pinpoints the dirty little traps that keep making a fool of you. It's basically therapy for your blunders. Except this therapist won't ask how things are going with your father. And here's the best part: Lotus doesn't just point out your flaws. It hands you the playbook to fix them. It shows you the winning lines, the moves that turn a guaranteed loss into a deeply satisfying victory. But for all you degenerates who just want to have fun, there's a feature called Crushing Line. Forget boring, engine-perfect moves. Lotus gives you human-level tricks and traps that actually work in the rating gulags you're trying to crawl out of. Disclaimer: The higher your rating gets, the lower your sex appeal. Don't ask me why, it's just science. But if, like me, you've given up on trying to attract the opposite sex, Lotus Chess is available on Google Play and the App Store. Click the link in the description, and give them a reason to keep sponsoring the content you enjoy so much. Back to the game, Carlsen castles queenside, and the response is bishop e7, preparing the dreadful idea of castling on the opposite side. If you watched my video on pawn storms, you know what that means. And with moves like knight e4, ideas like g4 and g5 are already simmering in your head. Well, if your testosterone is high enough. Queen a5 attacks the a2 pawn, king b1 defends, and after a deep breath, the chaotic castles is on the board. This position is for those who wish they played chess for a living. Imagine explaining the subtleties of why you came home with nothing to your sub 100 rated wife. Oh, my bad, you could just play the alien gambit and win. Right? Knight takes f6 check and knight takes f6. Carlsen's knight lands on e5. He is 12 years old, but already, glimpses of his positional genius are starting to show. I personally would keep this knight on e5 forever, but this is by no means a positional chess game, because in a few moves we have an outrageous move. You can pause the video if you feel like wasting your time. Because ladies and gentlemen, knight g6 is the reason you clicked on this video. But for those of you who are practical and are thinking, just play rook e8 and ignore it, well, that's how these sacrifices work. You either take it and sail the deadly waters, or you ignore it and let an annoying continuation slowly strangle you. Because after takes, and pawn takes. How will black recover this captured pawn without losing the rook on d8? Nice try, queen takes d4. You'll never truly understand the nastiness of moves like bishop to d6, until you start playing for money. But what's more insane is that 12-year-old Magnus Carlsen had to see all this before playing knight to g6. But not only that, all the sharp variations that come after pawn takes g6, the move played in the game. Queen e6 check is followed by king h8. Instead of recapturing the material and falling for knight d5 hitting the queen and the bishop, Carlsen goes for pawn takes g6. And for those who have a martial arts background, what position would you say black is in right now? But to his credit, Sip gives up a full piece. And with the move knight to g8, he protects the bishop and also the h6 pawn from any clever ideas. But
Mrs. Caught. Sister Abigail!
As if the insane knight sacrifice wasn't enough. Pawn takes, and what was the next move? You saw it in the intro. The Levy-Rosman special. The rook. Yeah, I know, I can't make this trash robot voice scream. But somehow, almost 100k of you guys are subscribed. This balding Zimbabwean with questionable mental health is humbled beyond words. But yes, these are the types of moves a 12-year-old Magnus Carlsen was just casually dropping. Carlsen is now down 2 minor pieces and a rook. In my world, the only excuse for sacrificing like this is if your opponent is down to his last 3 seconds on chess.com. But Magnus coolly captures the bishop on e7, which is, of course, a mating threat. The sheer audacity of this move is a testament to the fact that he's had this all planned out since he sacrificed that first knight on g6. The tactical brilliance is, quite frankly, just gross. Sip Care, with his back to the wall, plays knight f7 to cover the mate. Pawn takes f7 check, and after king g7, the question now is, how does white, who is still a rook down, find the checkmate? Well, Carlsen had it all figured out. All he needs is to get one more piece into the action. Which he does with rook d3. A move which weirdly, does not hang back rank mate, because for some reason, this queen happens to be on e7 keeping control of the e1 square. You know what, I think Magnus Carlsen could fix my marriage if he wanted. The threat is simple, check and checkmate. So Sipcare plays rook d6. Because queen takes rook is intense pleasure, followed by a burning sensation. Much like a country that's just discovered oil. The next few moves are pure formality. Sip desperately tries to cover the checks, but the engine says it's checkmate in 15 moves. But after queen f5 check, instead of losing both rooks, the Dutch international master Sip K found, which loses on the spot. Magnus finishes with queen d7 mate. At just 12 years old, he earns his first GM norm, qualifies for Group B, and plants the first stone in the monument that would become his career. Sip K Ernst, to his credit, would go on to achieve the grandmaster title himself. But history is cruel. And the eyes tell the tale of a tortured soul.